Right, so we're going back to our parallelogram from example 2, and we want to show the midpoint of AC is the same as the midpoint of BD. So let's come back and look at our parallelogram. So midpoint of AC is the same as the midpoint of BD. Well, let's go ahead and try and find that. So I'm going to copy down my points again. All right, let's put those down here. Right. So, midpoint of AC, let's look at that. So, I'll call that X, I don't know how to do my subtitle, XMAC, and YMAC. So I'm just trying to say this is the X coordinate of the midpoint of AC, the Y coordinate of the midpoint of AC. So I'm going to add my X values. So -3 plus 3, divide by 2. I'm going to add my Y values and divide by 2. 4 plus -1, divide by 2. Well, that's 0. Divide by 2 is 0. 4 minus 1 is 3. Divide by 2 is 1.5. Let's do the same thing. I want the X coordinate of the midpoint of BD and the Y coordinate for the midpoint of BD. So 5 plus -5, divide by 2, and then 4 plus -1, divide by 2. Well, 5 minus 5, of course, is 0. 4 minus 1, same thing, 3. So half of 3 is 1.5, so they share the same midpoint. Right, this also wants to look at our parallelogram. We want the largest angle. So let's go back and look at the picture. I know that the largest angle is going to be my obtuse angle. So it's either going to be angle C or angle A. And we figured out the lengths of all of our sides. So I want this angle that is going to be here. So I know the length of AB was 8. I know the length of AD was my square root of this, which was about 5.3. So let me go back to my calculator. Hopefully I still have that. I sure enough do. So I'm going to store that. Store. I'm going to call that A. Okay. And now, if I can find the length of this, then I could use cosine rule. Well, I can find the length of BD using my distance formula. So we had that the length of AB was 8, the length of AD was 5.3 something, and now let's find the length of BD. So that's going to be my distance formula. So I'm going to do x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. So I've got my points here. BD, 5 minus -5. Square that whole thing. Plus 4 minus -1. Oops, 4 minus -1. Square that whole thing. And that's going to give me my length BD. So let's do that. Square root of 5 minus -5 squared plus 4 minus -1 squared. I'm going to store that as letter B. So that's about 11.1 ... So cosine rule, cosine of that angle A is going to be equal to, so let's make a little sketch here. We had our picture looked like this. Okay, so here was our B, here was our D, here was our A. That's the angle we want. Notice that's across from my 11.1. Up here was 8. Here was 5.3. So remembering my cosine rule, I'm going to come down to topic 5. I want the angle, so angle A, side across. So that's what I'm going to remember. So I've got, let's pull this over here. Okay, I'm making my fraction, and I end up with 8 squared plus 5.3 squared minus 11.1 squared over 2 times 8 times the 5.3. Let's put that whole thing in my calculator using my letters. I've got my, this one was my letter A, this was my letter B. So I can make a fraction. 8 squared plus A squared minus B squared divide by 2 times 8 times A, and then I end up with a negative number. Don't be afraid of a negative number. It just tells me that my cosine value is negative. It means I have an obtuse angle, so cos inverse of that negative number gives me a big obtuse angle, so my A is approximately 111 degrees, which makes sense because I know from my picture I wanted the obtuse angle. Did I round that right? No, 112.